Guys, this is S&P 500 weekly technical analysis for the week of July 15th. Now that the S&P 500 has cleared the strong resistance barrier, this means that it is now heading to 5,700 as I mentioned in the previous S&P 500 weekly technical analysis. The S&P 500 may hit 5,700 in the next week provided Dow Jones clears the trend line and gives at least one closing above the trend line. And when that happens, then S&P 500 will hit the 5,700 mark, else S&P 500 will remain between yesterday's closing and 5,700, and we will see one more profit booking session in between these two levels. And if the S&P 500 loses the 5,600 mark, then in that case its last resort is the heavy support zone. Sustaining at or above this strong support zone means 5,700. Losing this strong support zone means short-term correction. So I will discuss all of this in detail in this S&P 500 weekly technical analysis. And before I proceed further, let's take a quick recap of what I predicted to happen in the previous week and what actually has happened. So this was my previous S&P 500 weekly technical analysis, and here I predicted a gap up open or irrespective of any open and initial bullish movement on Monday. And here you can see this was Monday, and on Monday we have seen a gap up open. Also in the same S&P 500 technical analysis, we were anticipating profit booking to happen on Monday because there were perfect conditions for the profit booking, but it did not happen on Monday, did not happen on Tuesday, and then Tuesday onwards the S&P 500 became so heavy that on Thursday, when there came the favorable CPI data, the inflation data, rather than giving a bullish movement, it came down heavily, and that was the good profit booking. And in my first update on the same day, I've informed my Patreon community members that yes, the profit booking is in the picture, and now there is this just one level. This level will define whether the S&P 500 will lose more or will sustain. And there was one closing above the zone, one closing inside the zone. So next day it opened above the zone, and which immediately after open it was confirmed that it is going to move up, and then it moved up, gained more than 1%. In last 30 minutes it came down and settled at 5615. And because there is a closing above the zone, this means that 5,700 is in the picture, but with some conditions. Now guys, I'm going to discuss the agenda of this S&P 500 weekly technical analysis. The first point of the agenda is the S&P 500 technical analysis on the weekly chart. On the weekly chart, S&P 500 has gained more weight. Okay, and next week it is expected to hit the absolute saturation through stochastic RSI. Okay, so on the weekly chart, S&P 500 is very heavy, extremely heavy, and it is heavy in a manner that it may not be able to handle its own weight. Okay, so I will show you technically, okay, what is happening and how it is happening on the weekly chart. Weekly chart is the long-term picture, okay, for a week, month or so. Second point of the agenda is the S&P 500 technical analysis on the daily chart. So daily chart, you can clearly see, okay, there is a kind of sandwich pattern, okay, but the closing is below the open of the previous candle. Okay, otherwise everything was good, it was supposed to move up. But now in this particular case, when the S&P 500 has lost 0.5% in just 30 minutes, okay, on Friday. So this means that we are expecting a little weakness, okay, but not a heavy fall, a little weakness, and then we are expecting the S&P 500 to sustain and then to move towards 5,700, provided Dow Jones don't struggle here, rather it clears and gives one closing above the trend line, so that more bullish movement can be guaranteed in the entire US stock market. So this is the daily chart. The third and the last point of the agenda is the probable movement of the S&P 500 from July 15th, which is Monday, to July 19th, that will be Friday. So whatever is going to happen from July 15th to July 19th, okay, I will discuss here. And guys, one more thing, that when I say the probable movement, I discussed 40-50% of the probable movement in first and second point of the agenda itself, because all of these sections are interrelated, are interconnected. So that is why I recommend you to watch all of these, the three sections, in order to understand what is going to happen in the next week, how it is going to happen, and why it is going to happen. Now guys, I am going to discuss the first point of the agenda of this S&P 500 weekly technical analysis. And this is the weekly chart. W as in weekly chart. Weekly chart means one candle represents 1 week, not 1 day or 1 hour. So before I discuss the candle, if you have not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, then please subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit the bell icon. And if you are looking for these daily precise updates of the S&P 500 every day from Monday through Friday, then you can join my Patreon community. I have given the link in the description of the video and also in the comment section. Now let's first discuss the candle. It's a weekly bullish candle, and because the closing of the candle is way below the high of the candle, okay, and also there was a heavy fall, 0.5%, 0.6% fall in just 30 minutes on Friday. That is why this candle does not confirm any gap up or gap down open. Neither gap up nor gap down open. No confirmation. Okay. However, the candle is bullish in nature, and because there were bullish and bullish, these are bullish candles. This means that there is bullishness in the market. Closing of the candle is above 5,600. This indicates that irrespective of any open, okay, gap up open or the gap down open on Monday, or in the next week, we can anticipate the bullish side movement. And even if the S&P 500 comes down, then also that fall is expected to be limited, not heavy. And when I analyze the weekly candle of the Dow Jones, then you will notice that it's a good bullish candle or heavy bullish candle as compared to the S&P 500. Okay, but the conditions are not favorable, or conditions are not confirming any gap up open or gap down open. Okay, so this also indicates that irrespective of any open, we can anticipate some bullishness. Okay, and even if there comes any fall, then that fall is expected to be limited. Okay, so the same thing is there in both of these the cases. Now let's analyze the technical indicators. Technical indicators, if you notice, clear fan out in the moving averages, bullish. Ichimoku cloud, bullish. Bollinger Bands, bullish. Okay, MACD and the stochastic RSI are bullish. So all of these are technical indicators are bullish. This means S&P 500 on the weekly chart is 100% absolute bullish, right? And also there is an important thing, that the stochastic RSI, the K channel, at least the K channel of the stochastic RSI is expected to hit absolute 100 on Monday. Okay, and this will hit 100 if the S&P 500 opens above or trades above or moves above 5615 level. Okay, so whenever it does that, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, then it will hit, it is expected to hit 100. But when the S&P 500 comes into the session, then I will be able to confirm, okay, whether it has actually hit 100 or not, or so. Okay, so that I'll confirm at that time. Now it is 100% absolute bullish, yes, but it is heavily overbought and heavily saturated. Overbought and saturated, but the saturation through the stochastic RSI is not there. Once the saturation through the stochastic RSI comes into the picture, then what we have seen on Thursday, a heavy profit booking. Similarly, okay, something similar is expected to happen. Okay, so I will clear that on the daily chart, but here this is the picture. Now on the weekly chart of the Dow Jones, the technical indicators of the Dow Jones, again if we notice, bullish. Okay, moving averages, clear fan out, bullish side. Okay, Bollinger Bands, Ichimoku cloud, bullish. MACDs, again it is a problem. So why I am saying it is a problem? The problem, it is a problem because there is still no crossover, no bullish crossover in the MACD, and as long as MACD is trading bearish, there will always be a fear that the Dow Jones can come down anytime. It can give surprise bearish movement. But once the MACD gives a bullish crossover, then that will guarantee that even if the Dow Jones comes down, then also it will correct itself and will move up. So irrespective of anything, Dow Jones will then be able to move up. But still, this is creating a problem. Okay. However, stochastic RSI is bullish, so that is a relief. Okay. So overall, we can see and we can say that the Dow Jones is 80% bullish on the weekly chart. And yes, one more important thing, it is neither overbought nor saturated. So by combining this, the weekly chart of S&P 500 and the weekly chart of Dow Jones, it is clear that the stock market is bullish. Entire stock market is bullish, okay, or is good bullish. It is not absolute. It will not be considered absolute. It is simply good bullish. So guys, before I discuss the second point of the agenda, I have one more information to share with you. This is my stock market knowledge transfer program, or the S&P 500 knowledge transfer program. Through this program, I teach the movement, strategies, analysis, technicals, predictions, support and resistance levels, means to predict the movement even before it happens. Okay. So all of these are technical in nature, and also through the pattern analysis, okay, historical movement, patterns, etc. The motto of the program is to help you become self-reliant. Whatever I am going to teach here in this program will be applicable to any stock, any index, any currency, any commodity, or any crypto. Okay. And this program is delivered one-on-one basis only. Okay. And whenever you want to participate in the program, or if you have any questions, then this is my email address. Okay. And more details are there in this, the Google spreadsheet. And when you open this, the Google spreadsheet, then you will notice that I've cleared and I mentioned everything in detail what I'm going to cover from basics to advanced, and I will disclose my modified technical indicators, trading strategies, options and options trading, and especially the live calculations of the options. And other than that, calculated support and resistance levels, okay, for 5 years I'll share, and how to deduce the trend, how to predict the movement even before it happens, okay, and how to recognize that trend, everything. And these are some important terms and conditions, and these are the snapshots of the recent meetings. So guys, whenever you want to participate in this program, then this is my email address, or if you have any questions, okay, then you can simply send me an email. I've given the link to this program in the description of the video and also in the comment section. Now guys, I am going to discuss the second point of the agenda, and the second point of the agenda is the S&P 500 technical analysis on the daily chart. This is the daily chart. Okay, let me mention here, D as in daily chart. Daily chart means one candle represents one day, not 1 week or 1 hour. So before I discuss the candle, if you have not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, then please subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit the bell icon. And if you are looking for these daily precise updates of the S&P 500 every day from Monday through Friday, then you can join my Patreon community. I have given the link in the description of the video and also in the comment section. Now let's discuss the candle. It's a bullish candle, but because there was more than 0.6% retrace in just 30 minutes, this means that although it's a bullish candle, but these bullish sentiments are not heavy. Not heavy in a manner that this bullish candle does not confirm any gap up open. Okay. And because it is bullish in nature, that is why a gap down open is also not confirmed. So neither gap up nor gap down open. But yes, one thing that can be seen here, this was the bullish candle, this was profit booking, and this was a bullish candle. Okay. Although not heavy, but it's still a bullish candle. Okay, a kind of sandwich pattern, not perfect sandwich, but okay, kind of sandwich pattern. This indicates that even if there comes a gap down open, then also S&P 500 is expected to lose a little. Okay, a little to what? A little to the same zone that I have disclosed in the previous S&P 500 weekly technical analysis. Okay, that's a very, very heavy support zone now for the S&P 500. So any fall as of now is expected to be limited to the zone. That's it. Okay. But because of this pattern and this thing, S&P 500 is expected to recover and is expected to move up. Simple. Okay. But at the same time, if there comes a gap up open, then the S&P 500 is not expected to continue to this the bullish movement, okay, immediately after open. Okay, in the first hour we can see some struggle, and S&P 500 is seen coming down, sustaining, and then okay, that kind of movement. Okay, in short, it simply confirms bullishness but not heavy bullishness. Okay, and also it doesn't rule out any bearish movement, but yes, it confirms that any bearish movement or any fall is expected to be limited a little. Okay, this is the Dow Jones. Now here in case of the Dow Jones, okay, if you notice, the Dow Jones was in open equal to low condition, means immediately upon open it moved up. Okay, secondly it closed as bullish. Okay, and it looks a good bullish candle. So this bullish candle is more bullish as compared to the bullish candle of the S&P 500. Okay, so if we see any bullishness on Monday in the market, then that bullishness will not be because of S&P 500, it will be because of the Dow Jones. Okay, so this is there, and now, so this is confirmed. Okay, now let's analyze the technical indicators. Technical indicators, if you notice, moving average is clear fan out, absolute bullish, Bollinger Bands bullish, Ichimoku cloud bullish, MACD is bullish. Because of this heavy profit booking, there was a change in the stochastic RSI, and stochastic RSI is bearish. This means that S&P 500 as of now will be seen as 80% bullish. It is 80% bullish on the daily chart, but it is overbought and saturated. So this heavy fall, it helped the S&P 500 to cool down a little, but this bullish movement on Friday, it brought back, or it did not allow the S&P 500 to cool down. This means that if there comes a good red candle, okay, and we are anticipating that there will be one more profit booking session in the next week. Once that happens, okay, then we can anticipate S&P 500 on the daily chart will be out of the overbought and the saturation. Okay, these two conditions. Okay, but until then, okay, so this is the case. Now Dow Jones here, in case of the Dow Jones, okay, there is some good improvement. Dow Jones is MACD, the moving averages clear fan out bullish. Okay, Bollinger Band bullish, Ichimoku cloud bullish, MACD is bullish, and the stochastic RSI is also bullish. Okay, and now the Dow Jones has hit the saturation. Okay, but it is just the normal one. Okay, but if it keeps on moving up, so in that case now it will enter into the heavy saturation next week. Okay, so Dow Jones is 100% absolute bullish. Okay, and it is safe. Okay, or it is in better condition as compared to the S&P 500, because S&P 500 is heavily overbought and saturated, and S&P 500 is overbought and saturated on the weekly chart as well as on the daily chart, but the Dow Jones is not. This means that more bullish movement is allowed in the Dow Jones but not in the S&P 500. However, whatever is going to happen, I will keep you posted through these, the daily precise updates of the S&P 500 every day from Monday through Friday. And guys, it is not just about these daily precise updates of the S&P 500 every day, but also I give the stock market opportunities in the premium stocks of the US stock market, means top 20 or 30 companies of the US stock market. So guys, if you have not yet joined my Patreon community, then I have given the link in the description of the video and also in the comment section. And when you follow that link, then you will see that this is my Patreon page and this is my Patreon profile. And here on my Patreon page, there are these two levels. This is daily S&P 500 updates for non-US and Canada residents. This is the daily S&P 500 updates for US and Canada residents only. So the only difference is the geographical location. And so when you subscribe to either of these, then you will be getting the daily S&P 500 analysis, updates and probable movement, as well as the stock market opportunities, minimum 5 to 10 every week in the premium stocks of the US stock market. And guys, if you notice, many people have joined my Patreon community for last many months, years, and they are getting these daily precise updates of the S&P 500 every day from Monday through Friday. And they know that what is happening, what is expected to happen, and why that is expected to happen. So guys, whenever you want to join my Patreon community, I have given the link in the description of the video and also in the comment section. You can follow that link and you can join my Patreon community, and you are welcome. Now guys, I am going to discuss the third and the last point of the agenda of this S&P 500 weekly technical analysis. And here I will give you the probable movement of the S&P 500 for the week of July 15th, means from July 15th, which is Monday, to July 19th, that will be Friday. So guys, let me remind you again that I've already discussed some of the probable movement in the weekly chart section and in the daily chart section. So if you have missed, or if you have escaped, or if you have not watched those two sections, then I recommend you to watch those two sections, because the candles and the other factors, so that I've already discussed in detail. So guys, before I discuss the probable movement, once again, if you have not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, then please subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit the bell icon. And if you are looking for these daily precise updates of the S&P 500 every day from Monday through Friday, then you can join my Patreon community. I have given the link in the description of the video and also in the comment section. So now you must understand that the earnings season is on, okay, and more companies are going to post the earnings, and on Monday Goldman Sachs is going to post its earnings. This means that Monday and Tuesday will be heavily volatile. Whether the Dow Jones will be able to breach this trend line or not, okay, it will actually depend on the Goldman Sachs, the earnings of the Goldman Sachs, okay. If there comes favorable earnings, then Dow Jones will be able to breach, okay, the trend line, and highly likely it will be able to close above the trend line. And when that happens, then technically the entire market comes into a condition wherein the entire market will move up, okay. So Monday, okay, and then for the subsequent days, some other companies are going to post the earnings. And historically what we have seen is that whenever there comes the earnings season, okay, then generally the stock market remains bullish. It has no technical relevance, okay. This is just based on the pattern analysis and historical movement generally, okay. So now anyways, so we are not going to speculate. We'll stick to the numbers, levels, okay, movement and all. Now, so it is clear that S&P 500 is moving above 5,600. And in my previous S&P 500 weekly technical analysis, I have cleared this point 2-3 times, that if the S&P 500 is able to clear the heavy resistance zone 5550 and the other, okay, that level, if the S&P 500 is able to clear that heavy resistance zone, then the next target will not be 5,600. No, the next target will be 5,700. 5,600, it won't be able to do anything, okay. So this means that above the zone it is 5,700 only. Now for the 5,700 to come into the picture, the Dow Jones must clear the trend line and must sustain above the trend line and must close above the trend line. So whether you have recently started to trade in the stock market, or if you are an expert, okay, so you must understand that we always look for the closing, where the index or the stock is closing. The closing price is very important, okay. So intraday it can breach. For example, Dow Jones moved up, okay, it hit the trend line, failed, okay, but closed below. If the Dow Jones would have closed above the trend line, then the picture would have been different. Then this would have simply confirmed a gap up open on Monday and then more bullish movement. So closing is very important. Intraday it may give heavy bullish bearish movement, but eventually it will be the closing which will define what is going to happen the next day or the next week, okay. So Dow Jones and the trend line of the Dow Jones, okay, trend line of the Dow Jones will be somewhere around 40,260, 40,280, approximately 280, let's say 270, 280 or so, okay. 40,000. So this is the condition, and when that happens, then what will happen in case of, and remember S&P 500 is still in the overbought condition and in the saturated condition on the daily as well as on the weekly chart. And also on Monday we are anticipating that on the weekly chart S&P 500 is expected to hit the absolute saturation through the K channel, okay. So when overbought, saturation, and then the stochastic RSI also comes into the picture, then this kind of situation will happen. So on Tuesday and Wednesday it hit the 100, and the D channel also hit 100 on Thursday. And Thursday CPI data was published, but because K and D were absolute 100, absolute saturated through other technical saturation overbought, so it failed to sustain, or it failed to hold its own weight, and it came down by more than 1%. Okay, so that was the profit booking. It was not actually the profit booking. So that profit booking was not actually, or will not be seen as a bearish movement. Okay, that was simply the offloading, because now that the inflation data was favorable to the stock market, okay, and market was moving up and up, okay, based on some speculation. So now there was so now there is new speculation that the S&P that the Feds are going to go for at least one rate cut before the end of the year. Okay, so they have simply offloaded in terms of the profit booking on Thursday. That's it, nothing else. Okay, this offloading, okay, but this offloading, it was supposed to cool down the technicals. It failed because on Friday there came a bullish movement. Okay, this means that the last closing was 5615, and target is 5700. In between these two levels there will be one more offloading, one more profit booking. Okay, and that profit booking is most likely to happen when again K or D are expected to hit the 100, and then it will again become extremely heavy. It will fail or it will come down under its own weight. Okay, so bullish side now we know. Okay, this is the condition, and Dow Jones, okay, Dow Jones, it must happen. And yes, there is one more thing, that if the Dow Jones fails to close above the trend line, but it remains around the trend line, then that will also help the S&P 500 to move up. Now for the bearish movement, okay, it is very simple. There is a strong support zone, okay, 5550, and the other heavy, that the number level. Okay, any fall is expected to be up to the zone. That's it. Very simple. Any fall is expected to be up to the zone itself. Okay, so even if the S&P 500 comes down, gives up like 1%, okay, 0.8%, but it remains inside the zone, it is safe. It will be considered safe and bullish, safe and heavily bullish. Simple. Okay, problem will happen only when the S&P 500 loses the 5550 mark, because that will be the only case when it will lose the zone, it will lose the support of the zone. In that case, it will come into the short-term correction. In that case, there are very heavy chances that it will re-enter into 54xx zone. Okay, and when it re-enters into the 54xx, then there is a very heavy support zone. There is one more support, very heavy support zone in the 54xx that will be able to handle. Okay, and there is also one level, and then again it will regain the bullish movement. Okay, so as of now there is no fear, okay, as such for the bulls, because the market is bullish on the weekly chart and the daily chart. Okay, the only problem is the overbought and saturation, and that the stochastic RSI is also going to hit the absolute saturation. So whatever bearish movement is going to come, okay, one or two bearish movement, one or two red candle, that is perfectly fine. That will be seen as offloading only. Okay, means profit booking, and then they will buy again, and then it will move up again. Okay, so it is expected to remain bullish in the bullish movement, okay, for some more time, for a few more days. Okay, until and unless there starts, or the S&P 500 comes into the short-term correction and it start to give back-to-back red candles, and it breaches the strong support levels, and also there comes crossover in the moving averages. Okay, so this means that in the bull side we have 5700. Okay, in the bearish side we have the zone, or 5550 mark. Okay, the S&P 500 is expected to trade in between these two levels, or in between 5700 and the zone in the next week. Okay, if the S&P 500 continue to give bullish candle, then it is not expected to move beyond 5700. Okay, then it is expected to fail, okay, after 2 or 3 continuous bullish candles. If the S&P 500 gives a red candle after 2 candles, at least 2 candles, 1 or 2 candles, okay, there comes a one red candle, one good red candle, means one more profit booking. Okay, so then that will help the S&P 500 to open more room in the bull side beyond 5700. Okay, but as of now 5700. Bearish side movement, once again the zone 5550 mark, that's it. Okay, losing 5550. So see, once again guys, when I say losing, okay, I am talking about the closing. Okay, closing is important. This means that if the S&P 500 comes down and it loses 5550, okay, intraday, but then before the closing, before the end of the day, it recovers, it regains 5550 and closes above 5550. Okay, in that case it will not be seen as failure. No, it will be seen as sustained, that it is sustaining. Problem will happen when there comes one closing below 5550. When that happens, then that will create the problem, because then that can trigger a short-term correction. Short-term correction means 2%, 3% or so. That's it. Okay, maximum, not more than that. But that short-term correction will not change that trend. No, trend will remain bullish. Because for the trend to change, S&P 500 has to give up at least 5%. But whatever will happen or whatever is going to happen, I will keep you posted through these daily precise updates of the S&P 500 every day from Monday through Friday if you are my Patreon community member. And if you have not yet joined my Patreon community, then I've given the link in the description of the video and also in the comment section. So guys, hit like if you like this video, and subscribe if you have not yet subscribed. And if you have any questions that you want to ask, then please feel free to ask your questions through the comment section. So guys, this was my S&P 500 weekly technical analysis for the week of July 15th, means from July 15th, which is Monday, to July 19th, that will be Friday.